The Ursula von der Leyen file, EU Commission President.
Ursula von der
Leyen, mother of 7 children, has had a storybook career. First Federal Minister of Family Affairs, then Defense Minister. She rose to become EU Commissioner in 2019. Her entire political career has been marked by surprises. Surprisingly also, the frequent scandals surrounding her remained without consequences. A group of EU Parliament members, led by Romanian Representative Cristian Terhes, demanded at a press conference in February 2022 the immediate resignation of EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The reasons.
Ursula von der Leyen is part of a gigantic COVID-19 science scam and a propaganda campaign that has caused and will continue to cause a massive violation of human rights and freedoms. This is a threat to democracy in Europe. Because of her activities and major conflicts of interest, she should resign as Commission President.
COVID fraud, violation of human rights and freedom, threat to democracy, conflicts of interest. The accusations weigh heavily. KLA TV investigates here to what extent these should be taken seriously.
1. Non-transparent deals.
Ursula von der Leyen is a vehement advocate of vaccines and is very well connected in the vaccine industry. For example, she has a very close relationship with the head of the US pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, Albert Bourla. In an interview with the New York Times, he spoke of a close relationship with the Commission President, which had been established through phone calls and text messages. Bourla's company had $14.6 billion in vaccine sales in the third quarter of last year alone. This kind of personal diplomacy by Ursula von der Leyen culminated in April 2021 in the conclusion of the largest pharmaceutical contract in the history of the EU. The EU ordered 1.8 billion doses of vaccines from Pfizer. The estimated contract volume, 35 billion euros, financed with taxpayers' money, all done by cell phone, bypassing parliament. Austrian journalist Alexander Fanta from netzpolitik.org wants to investigate the mega deal more closely and demands insight into the text messages. Fanta verbatim: "What Ursula von der Leyen types into her phone is, frankly, not a private matter. We need public scrutiny of EU text messages when they are used to make billion-dollar vaccine deals." The EU Commission weighs in that cell phone data would not fall under EU transparency rules. This is not the first scandal of non-transparent deals. Already in 2019, during her time as defense minister, her ministry had spent hundreds of millions of euros on external consultants, according to the Tagesspiegel. External companies had also received Bundeswehr contracts worth millions directly, that is, without a call for tenders, a clear breach of the law. Here, too, the deals were concluded by cell phone. A committee of inquiry declared the text messages as evidence. Shortly thereafter, however, they were completely deleted. Ursula von der Leyen knows nothing. Consequences in both deals, none so far. This is not a novelty in her biography. Other scandals also calmed down miraculously after a brief media outcry.
2. Conspicuous features in her biography.
In 1987, Ursula von der Leyen passed her state examination as a doctor, followed 4 years later by a doctorate. This, however, did not pass an examination by plagiarism hunter Martin Heidingsfelder from Froniplug. The accusation, 27 pages of her 62-page dissertation, contained deliberately copied content. Heidingsfelder said, "She was extremely lazy and copied mercilessly. Therefore, the medical university should revoke her title. Science does itself no favors when it protects renowned politicians." The result? 7 of 9 Senate members at Hanover Medical School voted against revoking the title in 2016. A second accusation is that von der Leyen has embellished her curriculum vitae. According to her own statements, she is said to have been a guest student at the renowned Stanford University and even conducted a market analysis for the Stanford Health Services Hospital Administration in 1995. An important plus if you want to play in the top league. Stanford University knew nothing and defended itself against the misuse of its name. Ms. von der Leyen's work was not available. She was neither enrolled at this university nor had the university issued her certificates for seminars. Sometime later, in 2015, the university suddenly withdrew its accusation against von der Leyen. Were there patrons in the background who had chosen von der Leyen for higher things? Another fact points to this.
3. Bilderberg record and career leap.
Before von der Leyen was promoted to EU Commissioner, she had officially attended 4 Bilderberg conferences, an absolute record. The Bilderberg Conference is an exclusive gathering of world leaders. Since 1954, it has been held once a year behind closed doors to confer without any publicity at all, completely non-transparent. Previously little-known participants often find themselves in high positions shortly after attending Bilderberg. Ursula von der Leyen attended the Bilderberg meeting for the first time in 2015 and then again in the following year, 2016. This coincided with the time when the accusations about the illegitimate doctoral degree and misuse of the Stanford University name suddenly ceased and were not pursued in the media. Von der Leyen attended 2 other meetings in 2018 and 2019, immediately before her highly unusual appointment as EU Commissioner in 2019. This was accompanied by a brief media outcry over a tangible scandal, Die Zeit wrote on July the 16th of 2019. Those who voted in the European elections were thinking of top candidates, certainly not of the German defense minister at the time. How within a few days Ursula von der Leyen went from the top position at the German defense ministry to the most powerful office in the EU is a scandal. The EU was said to have deceived its citizens. The impression is created that invisible circles are placing Ursula von der Leyen exactly where they want her. Scandals fade away and accusers fall silent. The question remains, who does she serve? To find out, let's focus on the COVID vaccination effort.
4. Interconnections. Point 1. Family connections.
Ursula von der Leyen's father, Ernst Albrecht, was already a high-ranking politician. He held various posts in the predecessor organizations of the EU, the European Coal and Steel Union and the European Community, or EC, and was later Minister-President of Lower Saxony. One may assume that this at least favored von der Leyen's steep career and the goodwill of the media. In 2020, her husband, Heiko von der Leyen, rose to the position of medical director of the American biopharma company Orgenesis, a company working on cell-based SARS-CoV-2 vaccines. This represents a clear conflict of interest.
Point 2. Interconnections with profiteers from vaccine donations for Africa.
At the end of 2021, Johnson & Johnson's vaccine was under global criticism for its side effects. The vaccine manufacturer's market collapsed. The Tagesschau headlined, US experts advise against Johnson & Johnson. The Frankfurter Rundschau, corona vaccination with Johnson & Johnson, serious side effects to blame for several deaths. No problem for the EU Commission. Almost simultaneously, the so-called Team Europe announced the donation of 100 million doses of the discredited vaccine to Africa. Ursula von der Leyen. Team Europe moves forward the global solidarity effort against COVID-19. This batch of almost 100 million doses from Johnson & Johnson to be delivered through COVAX is part of our pledge to share at least 500 million doses of vaccines in the coming months with the most vulnerable countries. But this is just the beginning. There are further pledges from a number of government leaders to donate over 1.3 billion doses of vaccine. But who exactly is Team Europe? Team Europe ostensibly advocates for equitable access to vaccines by low-income countries. Supporters, European Commission under EU Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen, vaccine manufacturer Johnson & Johnson, and the Gavi Vaccination Alliance, Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. Gavi was founded founded in 2000 by the WEF, corporate platform, and is sponsored by Bill Gates, board member of the Immunization Alliance Gavi. Dr. Seth Berkley is pleased. We have worked hand in hand from the beginning with President von der Leyen, her team, as well as the European Investment Bank and EU member states to make COVAX a success. COVAX was established in 2020 by WHO, the European Commission and France and aims to have global access to vaccines for all. COVAX is closely aligned with vaccine manufacturers and the World Bank. In the thick of the action is Dr. Seth Berkley, a close ally of von der Leyen. According to Time magazine in 2009, Berkley is one of the 100 most influential people in the world. In the past, among many other posts, he has been active in the Rockefeller Foundation.
Point 3. Interconnections with political whisperers.
A network analysis by an IT specialist who remains anonymous details the enormous influence of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other powerful players. One person who stands out in particular is Peter Pyatt. He wields influence through many key positions at crucial bodies such as the Robert Koch Institute, the Leopoldina, and the EU Commission, to name a few examples. Pyatt is Ursula von der Leyen's personal advisor on COVID matters. He holds a senior position at the billion-dollar Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In his main job, Pyatt is director of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. This has received $185 million in donations from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation over the past 10 years. Peter Pyatt also sits on the foundation of the pharmaceutical company Novartis, among others.
Point 4. Interconnections with globalist string pullers.
Ursula von der Leyen is the first point of contact for the powerful string puller David M. Rubenstein in Europe. Rubenstein is a major investor with billions in assets and a member of the Trilateral Commission, one of the most powerful think tanks in the world. Like the WEF, it was founded by big bankers such as Rothschild and Rockefeller. Rubenstein is closely associated with senior economic and political figures of this world. He is also a leader in the meetings of the Council on Foreign Relations. The Council is one of the most important US think tanks, founded by bankers such as the Warburgs. Further entanglements with the globalist elite became evident in November 2021 at the 60th anniversary of the Atlantic Council, another very influential think tank. While in numerous countries corona panic was stirred up and masks were compulsory, the Atlantic Council celebrated with great pomp and showered itself with awards. Without masks and distance keeping, the highest honors received von der Leyen and the CEOs of BioNTech and Pfizer. The Atlantic Council is another globalist confederation of the super-rich. Although none of these people were directly elected by the people, they claim to be committed to democracy. The sponsors of this event are one American bank, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and others. What exactly do these elites want?
5. Goals of the globalist networks.
Von der Leyen is closely acquainted with Klaus Schwab, member of the Bilderberg Group and frontman of the WEF. The WEF is a platform of corporate leaders and global strategists founded by the financial elites such as the Rothschild and Rockefeller dynasties. The WEF wants to build a technocratic society. Ursula von der Leyen is committed to the so-called Great Reset, which the WEF is rapidly pushing forward by exploiting the COVID crisis. The WEF declared the following goals by 2030. The creation of a one-world government. A global controlled cashless currency. The end of all national sovereignty. The end of all private property. The abolition of private transportation. A worldwide social credit system. Depopulation, control of population growth. Digital identity of every human being, ID 2020. Absolute media sovereignty through censorship of independent media. Creation of a new human being by fusion of human being and AI, that is transhumanism. Establishment of a technocracy. Green Deal for the implementation of a centrally planned economy, which is similar to the state control of all areas in socialism. Climate change serves as a pretext. Please see the informative broadcasts in which the mentioned things are well researched and explained in an understandable way. You will find the links again below the broadcast. In the credits, you will also find original sources, for example from the WEF, which substantiate these hard-to-believe statements. You're welcome to download the broadcast text and to check the sources yourself.
6. Conclusion.
The facts listed are only the tip of the iceberg. It is obvious that there are networks that were founded by the richest and most powerful and are closely intertwined with key figures such as Ursula von der Leyen. These organizations and interconnections need to be brought into the public eye. This is the only way to awaken a new awareness among people and to put a stop to the enforcement of the total power fantasies of a few. If you are also of the opinion that these interconnections should be known to everyone, spread this broadcast to many of your friends and acquaintances by mail, via WhatsApp, Twitter, Vimeo, or post the video on Facebook. We will insert the link to the broadcast below. Thank you for your help.